All right.
Here we go.
Let's get it. Let's get this party started.
I thought you were about to have another kind of startup phrase.
I was about to sing. I was about to sing "Let's Get It Started," but then I realized Trevor's recording and he's going to put that on the episode, so I'm not going to sing.
You know it's going to be on there.
And I'm not going to be caught singing on mic because my singing voice is not cute. So I just turned it into a talk instead of a sing.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. All right, so we're officially here, guys. Welcome to
We back?
episode 1.
Nope. 2.
No, officially 1 though, right? Because the first one was intro.
No, this is episode
This is
2.
episode 2.
Oh my gosh, we recorded one already. Wow, this is embarrassing.
Wow.
We're
Good
getting-
start.
It was me second guessing. I was like,
Wait, what? Do?
Welcome
Episode
to episode 2 of the Bridal Banter podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
We're back.
y'all.
We made it.
We're
How does
here.
it feel to be official, guys? We've launched.
We're here. Like, it's...
Let me
Yeah.
tell you, it was super exciting, but that was the most stressful first episode intro drop of my entire life.
How'd it go? How was
It-
getting it edited and posted and all the things?
The editing was fine. I actually syncing the audio was the hardest part because we had so many different. We had to stop recording because these cameras have record limits.
Canon.
Yeah,
We need you.
Canon.
love Canon, but they got a big flaw there.
We would love a sponsorship.
But yeah, so we gotta. I just want to say, this podcast would not be happening if Autopod did not exist.
Oh, yeah.
Autopod, if you don't know, it's an AI generator. It edits your entire podcast for you. So whoever's talking, it cuts to the person, like the camera, to whoever's talking.
Okay, hold,
automatically.
Trevor. Me and Emmanuel are noticing the same thing.
What?
Your headphone is just whacking your mic, and
sorry.
both of us are just like,
How do I fix that?
just
There-
drop
there-
it
There
down.
you
There we
go.
go. Okay, we're good.
There you go. I was
Continue.
wondering who it was.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's Trevor.
I kept looking around. I was like,
What is this noise?
Who is this amateur
both
podcaster?
of us caught. We
I
were
was
like,
I almost just reached over and
I was
moved
getting
it,
ready to-
but it was gonna look real weird on camera. Anyways, Autopod.
Yeah,
Back to you,
Autopod.
Trevor.
This podcast would not be happening. There's no way. I don't know how people edited podcasts before Autopod. I could not imagine going through, especially if you had multiple
Like
guests
you edit
like we do.
wedding videos. That's how.
There's no way I would do that. I would not want that job.
Every week.
Autopod just does it for you in 30 seconds. So amazing.
free plug for Autopod.
Yeah.
This one's on the house.
It's the best
but,
$30 a month that you'll
the
ever
rest of
spend.
them.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Is it $30 a month or was it $30 a year?
I think it's...
I don't know how. I think it's $30
Great
a
question.
month.
I don't know.
Anyway,
But free
Anyways.
trial, absolutely
Yep.
Game changer.
flawless.
Yep.
yep,
Game
worth
changer.
it. And I can get episodes edited in, like I said, 30 seconds, exported, and then uploaded within a day now.
Nice.
So
But how do you feel about uploading to Apple Podcast?
Apple Podcasts is a whole other story. that I don't know what the problem was, but I was having some technical difficulties, and then I thought I had to pay some fee to be able to upload on there, and then Andrew pointed out that you don't need that. You can just do it through Spotify, and it uploads for you. So now I'm waiting on a refund from Apple.
Yeah, it's pretty seamless. I remember we set up another podcast that me and Angie do, and I don't remember it being difficult at all to like link the Apple Podcast with Spotify. So we had the group chat going, and Trevor was struggling.
And all I could do was just send Google
We're like,
screenshots. I'm
here's a
"Try this."
screenshot. Try this one.
I was
Can't help
I
you.
was stressing. I think it's because I didn't sleep. Like I was staying up pretty late trying to figure this out, and I think I just needed to go to bed and sleep on it because it was a time.
Choose too much.
We made it, though.
Yeah.
But
We're here
one
now.
now
We're here.
we've kind of figured out the flow now from
Yep.
recording and then using Autopod, and now that we have everything set up with Spotify, it's going to be pretty straightforward now.
Yep. Angie's
So.
done a great job setting up all the social media accounts.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate
getting
it.
everything
Yep.
together and getting our faces out there. So just,
And we will soon have a website popping
Yeah.
up very soon.
Getting
Working
official
on
real
that.
fast.
Yeah. So
officially
it's
official.
all coming. We're already officially official, but we're about to
Yeah.
look
it was
legit.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. Like I was walking Maddox the other day, had the podcast on Spotify, seeing all of us up there. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
go.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think Angie wanted to start tonight by giving us a story that happened with
Oh my
her
gosh.
today. That
Yes.
kind
Oh
of
yeah, you've been dropping a little
Kinda blends
nuggets of
into the
information.
wedding.
I feel like
for it.
it's gonna be so disappointing because I'm like, y'all have to hear this
She
story.
sent the most ominous text. She's like,
Yeah.
I got a story for you guys
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Everybody's so excited. Well, kind of like it relates to the bridal shop, so it kind of makes it fun. So long story long is how we're going to go through this story. So yesterday, I had a bride book an appointment for today, like a bridal experience appointment for today at 11 a.m. At 4 p.m., we have like a standing meeting, and we're in a meeting, and I get a phone call from the same number multiple times, and like they're not giving up. They just keep calling me, and I'm like, Andrew, should I leave the meeting? Should I go answer this phone call? Well, come to find out, it's the sweetest thing ever. I get a text while we're still in the meeting so I can see the text message. And it's this bride's fiance, and he is not in the U.S., but he's literally sending us a message being like, I want to do something special for her. Like, please don't close before I talk to you. Like, I want to send her something. I want to get her like a fruit tray or charcuterie or wine, or like I want to send her a gift. So I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry about it. I'll call you as soon as my meeting's done, I promise. So long story short of this portion of the story, we decide that we're going to do charcuterie, champagne, and coffee flights from Sonoya Coffee, which if you hadn't had that yet, go try them because that coffee is so good.
So good.
So that's what we decide on. And we decide like last night, probably like 7 p.m.-ish. So like this morning we wake up and we have like game plan. Andrew's going to the coffee shop. He's got to get these flights figured out. He's going to communicate with the fiance. I'm going to go to Peachtree City, and I'm going to go to Aldi. Seems like a very chill experience, right?
Okay.
Something you guys might not know about me is I don't go to grocery shopping. Like, that is just not
Didn't know that.
in my wheelhouse.
She has a built-in
I-
excuse that she gets stressed out at grocery stores. So it's
My wife is
my
the
job.
opposite.
Yeah, it's my built-in
Andrew's,
job.
Andrew does the grocery shop. I just can't do it. I'll order it to the house, whatever it needs to be done. But, like, I can't do grocery stores. So Aldi, my best friend, told me the best place to get charcuterie supplies is Aldi. So last night I tried to order Aldi to be delivered to the bridal shop. It will not get here until 11 a.m. That's when the appointment is. Not going to work. So I show up in the parking lot. I know they open at 9, but I'm like, never know what traffic's going to be. I show up in the parking lot at like 8:40, and in the Aldi's parking lot is also a coffee shop. So I'm like, oh, look at all these people supporting this coffee shop. Like, wow, the parking lot is packed. No, they're not there for the coffee shop. They are there for Aldi. These are Aldi moms
Your worst
Yeah.
nightmare.
showing up for Aldi.
I'm one of those people. We shop at Aldi because
And
listen,
Wednesday's apparently new delivery day, so Thursdays
Yeah.
is all.
Kicking
Who
the
knew?
door down.
prices are through the roof right now. Okay, Aldi's the place to be
Yeah.
for
Well,
groceries.
listen, no hate to Aldi. I just rather it get delivered because it's a very stressful situation.
It's a unique experience
It's
at Aldi.
unique.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been ever in my life to an Aldi store, not once. I have a shopping cart that my friend made me to order for charcuterie, and it gets delivered to the bridal shop. It's perfect. It works. So I go over there. I see moms in their yoga shorts and their tank tops with their fanny packs, and they're like ready. Like at 9 o'clock, 10 people walk in the door. I'm like getting out of my car. I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. They're carrying their Aldi bags in one hand, and apparently the other hand's holding a quarter. And I didn't know you needed either of those things to shop at Aldi.
She said apparently.
So I walk in, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have shopping bags. This is going to be a nightmare. That's my thought. Like, I don't know about this quarter yet. So I don't have shopping bags. I'm like, oh, it's fine. They have shopping carts. Like, every grocery store has shopping carts. I walk up to them. They're locked. That's where the quarter comes in.
Yep.
Yeah, when's the
Nobody-
last time you had a quarter?
Never.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I'm like, you got to go in the car and search for a quarter.
I don't have a quarter. You will not find a quarter in my car. So I'm in there with all these official Aldi moms. They are on a mission.
It's like,
and
who's
I just
she?
like awkwardly look at this lady and I'm like, do you have a quarter that I can? I was like, I'm so sorry. This is my first time at Aldi. I normally get it delivered. And my friends did not prepare me for this experience. And she goes, oh, it's okay, honey. We've all been there. So she digs through her purse, gives me a quarter. That quarter will live in my purse for the rest
Yeah.
of my life.
Yeah.
It will never come
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Not that I plan to go back to Aldi, but if I have to for a last minute fiance, I absolutely will. So then it gets worse. I try to pull out the cart. The cart is literally stuck.
Yeah.
It will not come out.
Sounds
So
about right.
this mom that was so kind to give me her quarter is now watching me struggle just trying to get a grocery cart. And I'm over there just full panic still because there's a line behind me. They're like,
Oh, no.
people
Oh,
are
no.
waiting for a cart. I'm like, looking back. I'm like, so she comes, saves the day again, gets me my grocery cart, goes beeline for looking for a sign that says deli meats. Thank God the cheese is right next to him. load up all the cart, picture by picture that my friend sent me, like trying to compare a picture of this cheese with that cheese, making sure I get all the right cheeses, all the right meats. And then I'm like, okay, I can buy a bag at the register. Well, they go so fast at the register, they just throw them in a cart. So I'm like, well, I guess I don't need a bag. It's in the cart. So walk out to the cart. And I just throw a bunch of meat and cheese in the back of my car. Like, what else do I? No bags. Thank goodness I had a box for a wedding dress in the back of my car that was empty. And I loaded it up, brought it into the bridal shop. And more of the story, be prepared for Aldi. If you do not know this about Aldi, you need a quarter and you need at least one shopping bag. Like, don't show up without it because it's going to be a disaster. Just take my word for it.
You should have texted me. We know the Aldi game.
No, I thought I was ready. I thought someone would have warned me.
I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I didn't, when I first started shopping there, I never knew.
Who knew?
So I just walked in, just tried to pull the bucket. I was like, man, why are the buggies?
Why are they locked?
But
And
they do it because it incentivizes you to put the cart back.
Yeah, and then you get your quarter back because your Aldi quarter.
Yeah.
They should make Aldi tokens. That would be more fun.
Yeah.
Charge $1 a token.
But
Look,
do
you're
want
making
your
money.
you want
Aldi
your
token.
quarter back though, right?
But if I pay $1 for a token, I definitely want that back.
Yeah.
Why not have an Aldi token? Be part of the Aldi community.
Yeah. Make it make it cool like the digital crypto
Yeah,
ones,
like a
Bitcoin,
cool one.
but
Yeah, make it
physical.
special. Make it special.
I've never
So,
been
yeah.
there, so I feel very left out of this.
Well,
conversation. Even me never have been
Also-
there. I knew that you needed a quarter.
He laughed at me when
I
I
knew that you
called
needed
him.
a quarter.
So
yeah.
He laughed.
The other interesting thing about Aldi is they cycle their products. So like if you go and buy something there, it might not be there next week.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Yep.
That'll be.
Yep. So
They
you
kind
find
of
something
like-
you like and you go
Yeah.
back, it's not there.
That's so stressful.
Great. Another experience that further pushes
I
me to
can't.
doing the grocery
Yeah.
shopping.
Yeah.
It's
I was like,
fantastic.
good luck, man. Because
But yeah,
But great news is I can get delivered to the store. So shout out to the incredible fiance that sent up the most beautiful experience that will be posted on
Absolutely.
Sonoya Bridal for everyone to see for his bride today. And all fiancés, please do it. But just give me like 2 days so I can get it delivered because Aldi. I have my Aldi quarter,
you
so
got it
I
back.
will do it for you, and I will go to Aldi and I will make it happen. But like 2 days in advance would be great.
that way
Preference.
you can mentally prepare.
I
for
can
it.
mentally
Yeah.
prepare. That would be perfect. Get it delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out
That'd be
to him,
great.
though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
what
such
a
a
guy.
beautiful experience. Yeah.
That's a good
We have a
man,
new
Sonoya.
Sonoya Bridal bride officially today. She got her
Yeah.
dress.
Oh, whoop.
She got the most beautiful experience thanks to her future husband. And I mean, it was just such a little magical moment to see
That's
because
sweet.
it was surprises. Like she
Yeah.
didn't know. Like we offer the VIP experience. I have a few that are happening this weekend, but the bride sets it up. So she knows like you're getting champagne, you're getting charcuterie. And he asked us like to curate it specifically where they walk in and then there's coffee. And then they walked up the stairs and surprise charcuterie board with waters and sparkling waters. And then an hour into the appointment, Andrew pops up with champagne and glasses for them. So like he asked us to time it out that way, and I just thought it was so
That's
magical and so special. But it brought me my Aldi story, and I'll never forget it.
And coming from like the guy's side of engagement, it's hard to do things during I feel like the process of building out your wedding that
Yeah.
you can kind of build brownie points as a guy because a
Sure.
lot of it you want the bride to take
Make
over.
the
It's-
decision, yeah.
It's her special day, so being able to do something like that, I would highly recommend because it's one of the few like stages in the process where you can do something special like that and
Yeah.
like gift something to her.
That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I had a weird experience. Like when we were planning our wedding, I was pretty involved, I would say, because like we were in the industry, so we knew pretty much all our vendors that we
Yeah.
wanted. So that was the easy part. But Rain mostly did like the food and that stuff, and obviously she went dress shopping and stuff like that. But other like as far as like picking vendors, we had them all figured out.
That's kind of nice though.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
I feel like that's the
It
opposite
took a lot of-
situation that most of our listeners are going to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a lot of stress off of Rain, I think, because we didn't need to plan. We didn't need to make hundreds of phone calls and
Right.
say like,
You
"Hey,
already
are you
knew.
available this day?" It's
Yeah.
like
Right.
people were waiting for us to get engaged because they knew we were going to use them.
Yeah.
But I think that almost leads to a good point for people listening that like if you have just one vendor friend or somebody to get your foot in the door,
Yeah.
reach out to them and
Yeah.
ask them about people that they know in their
Yeah.
inner circle that are within the industry because I think we would all agree that we know a lot of people that we trust.
Yeah.
And that's at least somewhere you can start when you're reaching out for like a florist or a DJ and things like that. Even if you only know one person that's in a very niche part of the industry, they probably have a
Something
network
list.
of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's. I think we said it even in the first episode. Like, you know, with me, anytime my clients book me, I'm like, hey, if you have any questions between now and the wedding day of any part of the process, just reach out. Because if I don't know the answer, I can pick up the phone and call somebody. Anyway. Somebody can get the answer for you. Right. We're all in the industry, and it's just, we're here to help, plan their day and make the process easier for them. So,
100%. So I think what we were talking about doing for today was almost having a little bit of a focus on Emmanuel and Trevor's industry, or your side of the industry, kind of taking us through what the experience of a videographer or a photographer looks like, which I think will help a lot of brides listening, of knowing what to expect from you guys, or people that want to get into the industry on your side, knowing what to expect.
You want to go first?
You can start off.
And maybe we could just bring up the question of like the importance of a planner. This would be a good episode. For that.
Actually, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I get this question a lot. As brides will ask me, like, oh, do you create like a separate videography timeline? I think a timeline is a good kind of topic to talk about, because as a videographer, I've never once created a timeline, because I always go based off of the photography timeline and the planner timeline.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
The planner timeline and the photography timeline are usually pretty similar. There may be some differences, but I do not create a separate timeline for video, because we're working beside the photographer almost the whole day. Yeah. So there's no reason for me to actually create a separate thing.
Yeah.
And if I need something else, like, it's quick for me to just go, hey, I need to get this like real quick. But other than that, we just work side by side with photography all day. So
yeah, I mean, even for like the timeline, usually for me, most of my brides kind of ask, when do you start talking about timeline? And it just depends on when you're booking, how soon your wedding is coming up. If you want to have those, discussions early on, that's fine. But mostly when you start getting closer, because you can't really start having those conversations until you've started talking to the venue, and you're talking to different things that are actually happening that day. Usually for me, the first question I ask, are they planning to have do they have a planner? If they're not doing a planner, do you have a day of coordinator? If you don't have a day of coordinator, are you going with the day of coordinator that sometimes comes with the venue? Or do you have someone that you're trusting with that job the day of your wedding? Usually those are my first questions. So then that's already letting me know what type of timeline I'm going to have to build on my side, and, ultimately what that process of the wedding day is going to look like for me. And then depending on how much time I have with that client from that conversations up into their wedding day would be me recommending one of those 4 things, and really, saying how important it is to have those.
Yeah. So I have a question. What like, how long does it take you to put something like that together? Like a photography timeline? Is it like something that you do in a day, or is that multiple conversations, and like you don't get a solid timeline until like maybe a month before the wedding? Or when do you finalize timelines typically?
Depending on what type of venue you're using, depending on how long of a day that you have photography and videography coverage. And then just depending on exactly what that couple wants their day to look like. Usually for me, since I've done it, I already have that template kind of built. Yep. And so I have multiple templates already. So I have one for a client who is doing a full day wedding. Meaning I'm starting with details and hair and makeup all the way down to your send off at reception. I have that client template already set up. I have one in that template. It may be if they're doing a first look, if they're not. And so I have a template for first looks.
So that's interesting that you have like those that's
so then it makes it easy for me. A lot of times I go ahead and send them some samples of some that I've done so some clients, they may not know if they want to do a first look yet, and I never put that pressure on my clients. I'm like, hey, you don't have to answer this, like it is something, it's a special moment, whether you do it or you don't want to do it, so you almost send out like a questionnaire of like an outline of, hey, these are key moments that most people like, what do you want to capture, let's schedule that
what
out. Are you planning, what is, even when talking with them, like, what does your day look like? What do you envision? What do you guys envision your day looking like? So that's giving me an idea of what type of wedding day I'm looking at. And so then that gives me, you know, the idea of what type of wedding day template as far as a timeline that I can show them for examples. Like if they're already mentioning they don't want to do a first look, I don't even have to bring up the idea of showing them a first look template because that doesn't relate to them. Now if they ask me for my opinion, I will show them the difference between both. And, you know, just me doing this, you know, and not making them not feel like they're missing something, whether they do it or not.
Right.
It's totally up to how they want to experience that moment. But usually you build out the timeline for the day. Once you get all those details, that really goes into play on, and if you have a planner, a lot of times, depending on how the planner works, you can communicate with them. And I sometimes will have mine, send it to the client. If the planner builds hers or his, they can send me theirs as well. And then I can make adjustments based off of theirs. Because a lot of times the planner or day out coordinator is going to have the very start of your wedding day, like on site, you know, when they're getting there at 7 a.m. all the way down to send off. And I may not come into play until like 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so I kind of see what they're doing and maybe take those times, say from 12, the ceremony is at 5. I'm coming in around 12:30. So then I will take the list that the planner has already made and put my notes under there, giving the bride and groom an idea of where I'm coming in there, and then build my timeline based off of that and let them see my timeline against the planners, but making sure they still flow together so it's not confusing for the bride and groom. Like, wait, his timeline is totally different. You never want them to feel like they're going to be going back and forth. They need to flow.
I think that's
well
a good
together.
point that you don't really see that side. Like that's a very behind the scenes thing, you know, we're not really aware of. Like a lot of people don't know that's a huge workload for you to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, aside from the editing the pictures and taking the pictures and working the day, like that's a whole separate job that you're doing, and it's a ton of work. Like photographers, like I got to give you props because I don't know if I could create a timeline for, you know, it'd be a whole new thing that I'd have to learn how to do if I ever wanted to do photography.
Yeah, and I mean, if like I said, once you've done it, you already have that already built, and so it flows whichever way you're doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, like you're going in from usually for a regular day, I come in at the end of hair and makeup doing details. So I have say that start is 12:30. I have that outline at 12:30. You know, listing. I'm coming in doing details, hair and makeup. I also input on there if I have a second shooter. Second shooter will be arriving at 1 p.m. going to the groom suite. You know, so then that's giving them an idea of when my second shooter is coming. You know, also letting the guys know where they need to be when they need to start getting dressed. Kind of outlining. And I always tell my clients, we're not stuck on this schedule for the day.
Yeah.
But this gives everybody a good flow and an outline. And then down to, you know, say 1:45 hair and makeup is ending. We're doing first look with dad. You know, first look at bride and groom, down to the ceremony, you know, photos that we're doing beforehand, photos that we're doing post-ceremony, you know, all those things going down there. And usually once you get down to the reception, you know, we're smooth selling.
Yeah.
But I mean, you
got to get there.
Yeah, you got to get there. And it's a lot. And depending, even if you don't do a first look, there's still a lot of things that you have to put in the outline, but it helps keep everyone organized. And so it makes, and I couldn't do a day without one of those. I've experienced that, not for me, but being a part of other things, and it can go south real quick.
Get yourself a good photographer and a good planner, and they can create a timeline for you.
Yeah.
It will help you immensely.
Yeah.
And that gives a good idea of what maybe a bride can plan. You kind of given a 5 o'clock ceremony as a general, you know, starter. Trevor, how would your day differ from that, from like the video side of it? That way, someone that's kind of trying to plan out their wedding, now they know what a photographer, kind of when he shows up. How does that differ for like a videographer? When do you normally show up, and what do you normally cover?
So I always try to show up either at the same time as the photographer or maybe a little bit beforehand, maybe like 30 minutes beforehand, just so I can get some drone footage, establishing shots of the venue. Because like once the timeline actually starts and photography timeline starts going, it's hard to sometimes get those drone shots and stuff like that. So I'll show up a little bit earlier, but honestly, like that's where my job is a little bit easier as far as timeline, because I don't have to create one. I'm just working off of photography and planner timeline. So we just work the day together. And then if I ever need anything else, like if I miss something, God forbid, if I, you know, whatever it is. Like I'll go back and be like, hey, let's go grab this real quick. And
So you're kind of like a floater following like the key moments
Yeah.
that the planner and the photographer have already scheduled out for
Yep.
the day. You're
Yeah.
just sure that you're capturing content as they move.
yeah, and then if we were talking about like a first look, if you're doing that, the way that we set those up is like we obviously like pick a location. We'll kind of collaborate together with photography and like where we're gonna do those things. But ultimately, I'm a fly on the wall even for that moment, because the last thing that I want is to have a camera like right in your face when you're trying to do a first look. So I have mics and I love people up, and then we kind of back away and just let that moment happen. Like we don't do any kind of direction or anything like that. So that's pretty much what we do for first look. And then again, the rest of the day we just go based off of photography and planner timeline, and it runs really smooth. And I will say, like, I have never butt heads with photographers.
Yeah, I was gonna
once.
say that-
I've never
comment
butt
on
heads
that,
with
yeah.
planners, and it's all about communication.
Communication,
Huge,
yeah.
huge. If I
Usually-
have that timeline, I'm gonna stick by it as best I can for video.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, I'll work around it.
Usually for me, I always just start off like if I can if I don't know the videographer, I shoot a message on Instagram. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, we're working together tomorrow. You
Yep.
know, come to this wedding. You know, just to introduce ourselves before we get there. And like for me, I always just say, hey, like, you know, what I'm capturing is just as important
Yeah.
as what you're capturing, like, is for us to work together. So a lot of
Teamwork,
times, you know, in this moment, I turn to and I'm like, hey, did you get what you need? You know, not just like, oh, I got what I need. You know, no, like, you know, create that space that they allow you to have as well.
Yep.
You know, get that back to them. And, you know, if they need to do something different to get, you know, capture what they're getting, you know, flow with the videographer as well. Like,
Yep.
also give them that room, that space, because we're both working together that day to capture.
Yeah,
you know,
we're equally as important.
Yeah.
Everybody there,
Yeah,
and
all the
you know,
way.
ultimately, if you're butting heads with somebody, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with
Yeah,
photography.
either.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No other vendor. Everyone that I've worked with for 8 years has been perfect.
Yeah,
And I will
same.
say, watching, because we had the blessing of being a fly on the wall when we did a photo shoot for Snow White Bridal, and we had these two lovely gentlemen being a photographer and videographer.
First
and
time we
I'm-
met, actually.
Yeah,
You
first
would have
time they
never
never
known.
would have known. It's magical when you have a photographer and a videographer that have the right personality, that know how to treat an environment and like give each other space. Like, I would have thought, like, I know them personally, so I knew they had just met. But if I was a fly on the wall that had never met them before, I would have thought they've known each other for like 15 years and
Yeah,
been
yeah.
working together.
I
It's
think
like a
you caught a
magical
clip
ebb
with
and
that.
flow.
I did,
Yeah.
I was close. I don't know. I was under your
Yeah.
arm or something,
We were so close. I could literally.
and I was like, I don't even know your last name, dude. But I feel like we're really close
I
right
think
now.
your beard was tickling the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a whole moment.
We're like,
Yeah.
we're best friends
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we were, man.
Love it.
But-
Well, let's take a real quick break. We're
Yep.
going to switch our cameras
Switch
and we'll come
cameras
right back.
and-
Yeah,
Sweet.
We'll be back. We'll be back. 1 second. Cannon. Jeez.
Jeez,
Come on,
Cannon.
Cannon. Come on, Cannon.
We're back.
Yes, we're back. So like I was saying, it's just like when you have Trevor, you're doing it again.
I'm sorry.
Unhook yourself.
There we go.
You're doing it again. But when you have a photographer and videographer that like put in the work and have respect for the art, because it is an art form, and have respect for each other, and they could meet each other that day and it could be like dream team. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
we saw happen. And I swear I said like 500 times, and you guys don't know this, but I'm behind you like recording with my phone, doing all my silly little reels for the bridal shop. And I would look at Andrew and be like, this is magical. Like, this is so cool. Like, watching you guys just flow and work in your creativity and the way you see
Yeah.
things is so different than like, even me. I consider myself a creative person. Like, I grew
You
up
are.
in the arts.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was a
Yeah,
dancer.
absolutely,
Like,
you are. Yeah.
I consider myself a creative person, but you guys are another level of creative. Like, you'll see a shot and I'm just like, oh, let me get under the armpit for that one, because that's real good.
It's the
but-
whole thing of some people think they could just grab a fancy
Yeah.
camera and take
Yeah.
pictures and it's just going to turn out these
Oh, no.
beautiful images.
Yeah.
And then you see what you guys do.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, it's so much more than just having a nice camera.
Yeah,
And my
and-
favorite thing is, like, for me, I have to see it like in the square to know. The other day, Emmanuel did another shoot for us. It's going to be a surprise coming down the line. But he was standing there with his camera by his side and just like looking, and he goes, "No, I need you to stand right there." And the shot he got from this, from seeing, like, visually seeing it without having to see it on the little square, that, like, that's mind blowing to
Yeah.
me. That is so, that's like such a gift to have.
Yeah.
And both of you clearly have it. So
It's fun too. It's fun to learn like all of that stuff, to have that skill to just see it before you even raise the camera.
yeah, that's crazy.
Like it's so fun to be able to do that and like have that skill set. And it's just a special feeling once you like you can look at it and then you take the photo and it's like, yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly what
That's
I
what I
was
wanted.
doing.
Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, even for me, I mean, it just when you find that flow, you know, especially and so many things come into play to make those moments happen. It's like, you know, when you're at the right place, you know, and with the right people, you know, you can do it anywhere, but like when all those things really come together, like, you know, with that shot there, you can a lot of times you just see something and you create that moment that's from a moment already happening.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like it's there, and you know, I'm like, hey, just go over just a tap, and I'm already, you know, you're taking the photo
In your brain.
in your brain.
You already click, click.
before I even pull up the camera.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the camera's just capturing what you already see. You know, and so for me, you know, you always think about how you can see people do paintings and stuff like that. You're like, how in the world?
Yeah. The
You-
live
you know,
painters,
yeah.
the live painters
Yeah.
at weddings, that we should find someone who
I
does
know-
live
Speaking
paintings.
of-
I know. I'm glad you said that.
That
All right.
is
Yeah.
a skill that
We will
I,
we will be contacting you shortly.
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's absolutely. I mean,
blank
it's
canvas.
blank canvas
Before the ceremony,
Yeah.
and then the ceremony's done. It could be like 30-minute ceremony.
Yeah.
And they have a full picture just drawn out, just
Yep.
painted. And I'm like, you did that in 30 minutes?
Yeah.
And it's really, really good?
I had one at a bride at a wedding up in March. It was back in March, and that was my first time having a wedding with a live painter. And I mean, she probably got there probably about 2 hours before the ceremony, and she just set up at the space that they were doing the ceremony, and she just started with a blank canvas, and she painted for 2 hours before the ceremony, after the ceremony, and it was the bride and groom had already got where there's a shot that they wanted to get that what she was going to paint. So it happened like as they were walking out, he dipped her. So that was the shot. So she took her iPad. I think her name is Tiffany. I'm gonna find her.
We're gonna find her.
Shout out to Tiffany. When we find you,
If that's your name, we hope your name is
I think it's
Tiffany,
Tiffany.
but shout out to Tiffany.
But she took the shot with her iPad. So she took it, but she had already painted the canvas of the landscape.
Yes.
So the only
Yeah.
thing she had to do was just get the shot. And so then after we do photos and stuff, she goes back into the reception area, and she's finished. So it took her the rest of the wedding to finish the photo. I mean, to finish the canvas, but. It looked better than my photo that I took of the same moment. I was blown away.
It's crazy that they, you know, obviously you're wearing a very unique dress. They paint the dress like
Detail.
it is so perfect.
She even had their tattoos on, like
yeah,
all
it's
the way.
perfect. They
It's
get the
beautiful.
dress like perfect every time. If there's if it's a beaded
impressive.
dress, they have the beads on the
Yeah.
photo painted on the photo. It's amazing.
And so you just like stuff like that. You just so that makes me. I'm like, okay, so I understand more. How artists like that create those big canvases like that because we do the same
It's
thing.
the same
You see
thing
it.
just
Yeah,
for video and
yeah,
photo.
you
Yeah,
see
we
it.
see it before and we just kind of like then we bring the
Yeah.
cameras up and make it happen.
Yeah, that's why I would say I love a veil. Like when
love
we
a
had
veil.
the long veil, I was like, I'm good. Like it's so much you can do.
Yeah.
And when you learn like how to maneuver the fabric with your lens and with the model and different angles, and don't put it in the sun glare. Like it's just
Don't even do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think me and Angie had looked up some questions that were like questions that a bride and groom might have for a videographer and
Yeah,
photographer, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth.
Okay.
But one that I saw that I thought people would like to know is how do you guys build a rapport with your couples before the day of? As you're going through that process, how do you guys kind of, interact, and how do you build a relationship, and how does that relationship evolve as the process moves on?
Zoom calls. Zoom
Yeah.
calls right off the rip. We want to talk to you in person before you even sign any contracts or even pick your package with us. Like, let's jump on a Zoom call and just start. I want to learn about you as a couple. I want to know how you met, where you proposed, like all those little details, because that's part of the story. Like as a videographer, that is part of the story, and that ultimately might end up in your vows the day of too.
Yeah.
So if we know that beforehand and have that information, we can prepare for that and kind of we can pre-build the story in our mind before we even hit the editing room and, have an idea of the vibe of the couple and stuff like that. And it's also like to just start a friendship. Like we don't just want to have clients. We want to build friendships in this industry. And that's, we've had, like I said, I think I said it in an episode before. Like we don't just like deliver your film and then we cut you off cold turkey. Like we're friends with a lot of our clients still.
Yeah, I think Emmanuel talked about that you go from doing maybe an engagement shoot to the wedding to the maternity shoot, so you can maybe talk about that.
I mean, even for, like Trevor said, starting off Zoom calls, doing some type of video consultation. If you can't hop on a call, just get to know each other. And I mean, for photographers, most weddings, you end up doing their engagement photos. Mm-hmm. So engagement photos is always super important because it gives you that time to meet if you haven't met face to face before.
Yep.
And you can learn each other, you can talk, and it really kind of gets those butterflies out, not just for the client but for me. Like this is a important day for for them, for what we're doing. So it gives me that moment to meet them, to we can just get to know each other.
Builds comfort.
Yes, builds comfort.
That's the word. Yeah.
People getting more comfortable in front of the camera. And you can kind of learn like different things about what they may be comfortable doing, what they may not be. So that kind of sets you up for how your wedding day will flow.
Yeah.
And not trying to force certain moments that couple just aren't for. Like you already kind of get an idea. And so it helps you build that relationship between you and your client.
Right.
So that way, between, from doing your video call to engagement session, anything that happens in between that time in the wedding, you've kind of walk into that space. They know you, and you know them. So that when you're starting off, it's just, it's part two of what we already created.
Yeah, you're friends already, and everybody's comfortable. It's not like you show up all of a sudden with cameras in your face, and you're like, oh, who's, we didn't even have a Zoom call, and like this guy's just putting a camera in my face.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all.
You probably learn their body language a little bit, and like their personality to know when they're comfortable or uncomfortable with something, to know to kind of give them advice.
That makes it. And like I said, I said it before in another episode, like it just, when you see your client who something may be wrong, you can kind of sense that, if they're in a moment where, you can just tell from their body language or from their emotions, maybe where you need to do something different, or just take a moment and pull them to the side, and just give them some air. You've built that relationship with them where you're able to see that, sense it, and you can, help them in that moment, because you've built that relationship with them leading up to that day, which ultimately afterwards, like we said before, that continues that relationship that you've already built just from that time, to go along with whatever else happens in their life as their family grows or as different things happen in their life. Like you've built that strong relationship, that bond with them, that everybody's comfortable doing.
Yep. Zoom calls. Huge on it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Getting to know him. Okay, another question I have for you. What is the most common concern that couples have when it comes to photography and videography? Like, what is their pushback? I guess for videography, for you sometimes, Trevor, I feel like sometimes people are like, well, it's just an extra expense. So, like, how do you overcome that? Because videography, as we learned, which I wish we could go back in time and meet you before our wedding.
Crucial. Crucial.
We learned that videography is so important because we wish we had like a magical video to watch for that day. And we didn't spend the money on it.
My advice for people who are looking for a photographer, look for a videographer at the same time and book them
simultaneously.
Book them simultaneously. If you're looking for a photographer, you might as well just look for a videographer too, because you don't want to have, you don't want to have that regret of not having a video, because it's just, you can't go back,
Right.
I mean, not to say you'll get a divorce, but if you do get a divorce, maybe you can go back, but
hopefully
most
not.
of the time you can't go back.
Hopefully we can't go back.
You can't go back, but it's that regret is the worst. That's the worst feeling after your wedding. You don't want that. So videography is always, I've noticed it's always the last vendor to get booked. So anytime
I have to tell you, the photo bus definitely is behind you. But other than that, you might be the last.
Well, at least from my experience, we're always the last to book. And it's It's a little frustrating because I try to recommend my friends, like my other vendors, and they've already gotten all of those other people, so they're just coming
like,
for us.
Why am I the last one?
Yeah, the last.
You're like,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Yeah, so my recommendations they kind of don't work as well as like a photography recommendation. You know what I mean? Like if you were to recommend, other people like DJs and stuff, maybe they haven't booked them yet, but if they're coming to us, they've booked every other vendor.
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about that, but a lot of times you do. Like a lot of my clients be like, "Hey, what videographers do you recommend?" So which is a good opportunity for us to recommend other vendors. But like you said, it's just
it's hard for me. I've noticed that like it's very hard for me to recommend people as much. I recommend a lot of people, but it's always the same answer. Like, oh, we've already got someone.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing for me.
What's your couple's biggest concern when they're booking photography or like pushback or?
I guess just really finding the type of photographer you want.
The different moods.
Yeah, different. I mean, it's you have so many different styles, which is great. Like, we're all different. The clients are different. Everybody have different wants. I think a lot of times it's just maybe, really finding that photographer that fits your style. And then once you find them to fit your style, just seeing if that flows and how, you want your wedding day to be photographed.
Right.
So a lot of times you can get the style, but then it really comes down to, how that photographer flows, what type of shots they capture, so a lot of times it's just really, I guess for the photographer, just having maybe a variety of your work really displayed, showcasing like, in different places and, different couples of, different locations, different races, like, different things like that, really, so that client can see them being photographed by you, is some of the main things that I see a lot of times with photography.
So I kind of want to switch it from the bride's perspective, planning perspective, to we've talked about we want to give advice to vendors that are looking to get into this industry. So I guess I'd ask, this could go to either one of you. What would you guys recommend to somebody that maybe has a passion for photography? They've recently invested in a new camera. I know that we have some examples of people that we know that are trying to get into the industry.
Yeah.
How would you recommend them kind of getting their foot in the door? Maybe something that they can start working on, something that they could watch online.
I have a great
just
answer
some
for
way
this.
where that way you don't have
They're
to
both
have,
ready.
Yeah, both of them are
They're
just
both like,
sitting.
stop talking, we're ready.
If you're in a situation where you maybe don't even have a camera yet, I'm going to tell you right now, you do have a camera and it's in your pocket. You need to master the camera that you already have before you even think about trying to like make money doing this.
Yep.
Master your camera, understand the camera settings, what shutter speed is, what aperture is, all this stuff, right? All the technical stuff. Learn all of that and really, really go out and practice. And then start building up, like do some stuff for free. Take a course online. I recommend fulltimefilmmaker.com. We'll have it in the show notes down below. I can put a link to it. There's no, we don't have any special discounts yet for it. But it's worth every penny. That's what I use. So Full-Time Filmmaker, take an online course. It's, they'll give you all the technical stuff you need, but learn your camera that you have that's available to you, and then do some stuff for free. Whether it's maybe a wedding or do an engagement shoot, take a couple of your friends and go out to like a location and just try to shoot some fancy, fun footage with them and put something together, practice editing. And then once you build up a little bit of a portfolio, say, hey, I can do this, for $200, or start cheap and then work your way up.
Yeah. I think, you said it all. I mean,
well, you forgot YouTube University.
Yeah,
YouTube University. Yeah, that's a free.
YouTube University is that's always your best start. I mean, finding out, like you said, learn your camera. And one thing you can learn a camera before you even choose what brand you want to go with.
Yeah.
So because the settings are settings. No matter what camera you have, you know, you got to learn shutter speed. You got to learn your f-stop. You got to learn like what different autofocuses does and what different lenses do.
Lenses is a big one.
How to use flash and what's the importance of them. Like, it's so many things in a camera that you have to learn, that you will want to learn first. So, take time to really just educate yourself. Find, there's so many online resources that's available. Find someone like a photographer who fits the style that you're looking to get into. Start following them. A lot of them have YouTube channels. A lot of them have, podcasts and different things like that you can really learn a lot. A lot of them have courses. I took a lot of photography courses online. Some I did, through some programs, and some I did just following photographers who have now built that for other photographers to start with. And like Trevor said, finding some friends or family that you can just get comfortable with taking pictures, going out. If you want to get into this industry, best thing is after you do all those steps, find a photographer that you can just really just say, hey man, like, I would love to start shooting weddings. I haven't done this before. You don't have to pay me anything. I just want to come along. Even if you don't ever,
third shooter, fourth shooter.
Even if you don't pull your camera out, it's so many things. For me, I would have just loved to just shadow a wedding without even thinking about touching my camera. Shadow a wedding. How? Because there's so many things happen in a wedding day, more than just taking pictures. That you want to know, that will set your day up for success by knowing how those things happen. And so like even just shadowing that, and for me, I had a photographer friend tell me very early on, you want to be comfortable in whatever room you walk into, knowing that you can capture it. And so that and that's something even that we're always learning. Like, you're always, learn different skills and different things like that. But you want to get to the point where, if I'm a lifestyle photographer who mostly shoots outdoors, I still have to know how to work with lighting inside. I still have to know what flashes to use in order, because 9 times out of 10 your reception is going to be inside or something, so you want to be able to feel comfortable, especially when you start getting to different levels, especially in the wedding industry. You want to be comfortable walking into a room knowing that you can capture what you're there to do.
That's big. If you can reach out to somebody and just offer yourself for free, offer to be an extra set of hands in whatever it is, 90% of people will be ecstatic that you're even asking that. And it's not just for like free work, but it's just because like they actually like people getting in this industry and taking an interest. Like for me, if somebody wanted to shadow me for a wedding, obviously I'd ask the couple if it was cool for them to tag along. And I'm an open book. That's your time to ask a billion questions, and we're more than happy to answer them. At least I am. I'm an open book. And one of my favorite quotes that I heard recently is that closed mouths don't get fed. So ask questions, and you'd be surprised at how much help you can actually get from people.
I actually was just listening to a podcast the other day, and the person was talking about how important mentors are and how people nowadays are so afraid to ask somebody to be their mentor. And people, especially people that are older and have been in an industry for a long time, they're so willing to share everything that they've learned. If you just approach them and it's like, hey, I'm looking for someone to mentor me in this. I'm new, or I've been doing this for 5 years, but I'm looking to take the next step. Definitely go that mentor route, because most of the time it's going to be free, and they're just looking to invest in the next generation of people doing whatever they did.
And it's another relationship built. It comes back to community. Like, I know for me, that was something. Even now, I have a couple of friends who have been in the industry a lot longer than I have, who have, who have done big weddings. And they're some of my closest friends now, but I also call them my mentor. Like, they, I continue to learn from them, and a lot of times they're complimenting my work. I'm like, have you seen your work? But it's just that, that support from both sides. But having someone who's been in the industry a lot, who's been in different rooms, who've, traveled and been in different spaces and different clients, that can, there's always something to be learned. And that, you have that person who can pour into you, and teach you different things like that. And just ultimately just be a support and what you're doing, and you providing the same thing back to them as well. The people who are in the education space in this industry
are a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
There is so many resources now, more than ever,
Yeah.
which is incredible. So the people who are making these online courses and trying to help in different niches, like there's a luxury course, there's an intermediate course just starting out. There's so many courses out there, and they're fairly inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're pretty affordable.
And worth it.
And if you invest in yourself and you take a couple of those courses, you're going to be off to the races.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially when you show an interest in something, people are so willing to pour it into
Yep.
you that,
Yeah.
like, if you really have a passion for photography or videography or something else in the wedding industry, and you reach
You
out to
can
someone
find
in
someone.
it, and just explain to them that you
Yeah.
have this passion to learn. 9 times out of 10, those people are going to be more than willing
Yep.
to.
Oh yeah,
to
I have
help
to.
you.
I have to have a shout out for this little segment real quick because she's going to come on for sure. But this bridal shop would not have happened without our mentors. So shout out to Amy at Everlasting Bridal. They made it was a game changer for us, and like we reached out. They were our friends before. We did a few events with Roll with Juniper for them. We were a little bit nervous to be like, hey, we want to do what you're doing and open a bridal shop. But we did it because at the end of the day, we needed someone to guide us and teach us and prevent us from doing the wrong things. And we had done that for so many people on social media for like photo buses. They'll reach out to me and I'll send them details, pictures, videos of how to build things, like whatever they need to do. So I was like, let's just ask Amy. I think she'll be able to help us. And we would not be sitting in these seats right now if it was not for having a mentor and
100%.
having them guide us in the right direction.
Yep.
So
You got to have the courage to ask. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Have the courage to ask. Don't be scared to ask. You'd be surprised at what people will do.
absolutely.
I
We have to
agree.
pause again. Are we having technical difficulties?
Is
And
tell me
we
that-
have
Tell me
a
that card is full
pause.
right now. There's no way.
What does it say?
What does it say? Stop recording?
It says movie recording has been stopped automatically.
Stopped automatically. So maybe it's just the time again.
It's okay. It's just me.
But I started them at the same time.
Well-
let's hit the button and maybe just try
Yeah,
to-
try
or
that.
it's on the back, yeah.
Try that again. Let's try it again.
See if it even records. I mean,
But it's a good time to have a technical difficulty because
Started back.
we'll kind of wrap up and go to
All right,
our fun
well-
little game.
we don't know where Andrew's camera cut off at,
We
but
lost him for a minute.
We still have his voice.
if it,
Now you see me. Now you don't.
oh,
The magic man.
We have got to. We gotta figure
Canon,
this out.
help us.
We gonna get there.
We're working out the kinks, folks. Working out the
yeah.
kinks.
But it was a good pause. I feel like
Yeah.
we can go into, we've had a lot of discussion about photography, videography. I think we're having a photographer on as our first guest as well. So we'll dig more into the industry a little bit in the
Yeah.
future. But I just wanted to play a fun little game.
Okay.
Because games are fun. Should we pause and restart the recordings real quick?
Oh yeah, we can.
Yeah, might as well. Might as well before we get shut down.
Okay.
And pause.
Boss.
What are we supposed to clap or something?
There you go.
I clapped for you, Trevor. We're good.
Oh yeah, we're at 25.
One
Okay, so
second.
anyways, back into the game that we're about to play.
Okay.
It's a quick game, and then we'll kind of wrap up the episode. Just a little fun, see what all the opinions in the room are.
Okay.
And that'll be fun to see like the opinions of the guests on the same type of thing. Very simple, this or that.
Am I part of this, or is this just
No, everybody.
photographer and videographer?
No, it's gonna be all of us,
Okay.
and like feel free to like put some stories into it as to
Okay.
why if you feel like you need to defend
I'm
your
nervous
answer.
about these questions.
Oh, it's
now.
very simple. It's very simple. Okay, so this or that. Are we traditional wedding? So speaking of like the garter toss, is it a garter toss? The garter toss, the flower, what, you know, the
Yeah.
traditions.
Yeah.
Are we traditional wedding or are we going off on our own, making it unique and not doing all of the old school?
Do we have to pick one?
Yes, pick one or the other, this or that, Trevor. That's how the game works.
I will say I'm doing it my way. Like just I think mixing it. I think it's nothing for me. I see myself mixing my day, taking some traditional things because some things are just you that's what you think about for your wedding.
Right.
But there are also some things with me being in the industry. I'm like, yeah, I'm good on that. You know, so that's for me.
Okay. Let's get rid of the cha-cha slide. That's
Okay.
That's
That's fair.
getting out.
I'm
of
good
it.
with
That's
it.
fair.
If that's what
Okay.
we were talking
I'm
about, like
good.
traditional that plays at
Yeah.
pretty much every wedding.
Yeah. And you're done with it.
It's time.
You're
to move
tired
on.
of watching it on video.
It's time to move on.
Yeah.
So I'm all for like the unique wedding
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't have to do the.
I do
garter
like.
toss.
I mean, I like
The
traditional
garter
stuff. I
toss,
don't
not-
mind.
I'm good on that.
I would say don't force those traditions
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
have them in there
Yeah,
because
because you feel it when it's forced.
You
Yeah.
said 100%.
You know,
The
you're looking
cha-cha
like-
slide. That's the most forced thing ever.
Trevor said,
He's stuck on it. He's
I
stuck
said,
on
oh yeah, the cha-cha.
it. We're talking about the garter toss. He said the cha-cha slide. I'm out.
Get it out of there. Stop
mean,
it right
I'm
now.
out.
Photo booth, being a photo booth, we're kind of a fly on the wall on the side,
so
and
you
so
see
we
it.
see when people try to force something that's like
Oh, it's
traditional.
like the timeline is like
Yeah.
It's
when
very
you have to like
awkward.
cut the cake, do the garter, do the bouquet toss, do this, do that, mother and father.
Yeah, and
it's
you miss so many things that
miss a
can
lot.
naturally be happening
Yeah.
there. So leave room.
okay.
I like
so
the-
we say the
agreed.
unique, like do it your way.
Unique, yes,
Do it
yes,
your way.
Unique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. You guys are not gonna like this one.
Uh-oh.
Boy.
Uh-oh.
First look or walk down the aisle.
Okay.
Why you got to do us like that?
I know.
I
know.
like them
I
both
mean,
so
we
much. Me
can
too.
we can easily say first look because that's what we did,
Okay.
right? Do you regret it?
I regret.
Do you regret?
regret-
Oh, I'm just kidding.
You regret?
I'm just kidding. No.
They freaked out.
First look was
I'm about
great.
to
I
jump-
cried my eyes out. Trevor's editing our wedding video right now, so he's probably seeing our first look and our vows. I cried
yeah.
my eyes out, so it was very special for me. I really love.
We're first look.
Yeah.
We're first look.
I
Fans.
think for me, for y'all who don't know, I'm single. They're all married. So I know for me, I feel like I want to experience the first look. Like I want, but I'm also not against just waiting to that. But I think for me, what I'm gonna feel at the first look, I'm still gonna feel that moment again when she walks down the aisle.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
That was
You're
my
right.
take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I feel like I'm going to
You
feel,
feel
the
it
same
twice.
way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm for the first look. I love doing first looks, but sometimes when people don't do one, you get
It's
a
raw.
groom just
Yeah.
bawling his
Yeah.
eyes out for the
Yeah.
first time. It's like a huge moment, but
Like,
you can
for
have that
me,
same
that's-
huge moment in first look.
That's
So I-
doing it for the family though. Like you're
Yeah.
doing it for your guests at that point. You're giving them a show.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is
And
a production.
I've had grooms. He just gets emotional each and every time.
Yeah.
Like the first look, bawling his eyes out, and then same
Doing
thing
it again.
down the
Yeah.
aisle. So,
Yeah.
'Cause
but
it's a
I
different
do like a
moment.
first look.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're first look, team first look.
Ooh.
All right, next one, live band or DJ?
Live band.
Live band for sure.
I am here for a lot. It's now. I will say, depending on if you get the right DJ,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
who really know how to do it, I can go either way.
I mean, shout out Roman with golden headphones. Is
Golden
that
headphones.
golden headphones?
Nice.
He's the right DJ. If you
Yep.
need a DJ, hit him up. But live band for me.
I think it's
Yeah.
live band,
I would
but a
love
good
a live
DJ
band.
can make up not having a live
Yeah.
band.
I wouldn't be against if I have it in the budget to
Both.
do both.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
say.
Sure.
Have a good DJ.
Agreed.
Yes.
But, and then I think it's just something about having a good live band.
Mm-hmm.
You
They
know,
bring
so-
the energy.
Yeah.
I've
so I would do both. Maybe have a DJ for like your cocktail hour, maybe something like that. The rest of the night have a good live
Turn
band.
it up with a live
Yeah.
band.
Love
I
it.
like-
Here for it.
I like
Yep.
that.
Okay, I support it.
I like it.
You guys didn't do it this or that. You broke the rules, but
Sorry.
we'll do
We're
it.
making our own.
Wait, can I
rules
go
here.
back and break the rule of the first look?
No, you cannot. You may not
That's in
break the
stone.
rules. All right, next one. Destination wedding or hometown celebration? This is so easy for us.
Yeah, we went to
destination.
Italy, so I'm gonna say hometown.
We really missed out on the hometown wedding.
Man,
No.
I really regret getting married in Italy. That was terrible.
So I think for me, I come from a very big, close family. Mm-hmm. Like my family, like my immediate family, with what we call immediate family, is easily 300 people.
Right.
So like, I want that feel, but working in the industry, I would love to just do what you guys did. Plan out my wedding, take 20, 30 people of my closest family and friends and do a destination wedding and then come back and maybe do a big reception.
Yeah.
That's how
Best
I
of
see
both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I had to choose,
Breaking the rules again.
I know. I'm going back. If I had to choose, I think I'm still going to do a
hometown.
Wait, are you
wedding.
talking about like us getting married or like as a vendor destination?
whatever.
okay.
Oh,
So-
okay. Well, that's yeah. for-
That, I like how
As
you
a
said
vendor,
if
it's gonna
I'm
be
getting married.
destination 100
Yes.
times out
Oh,
of 100.
absolutely. Please fly me to Italy.
Don't take me to Mexico. That sounds awful.
Because if I answer this, my wife's gonna be like, "Why didn't we go to Italy?"
Sorry, Rain.
No, but as far as like filming them, I do love a good destination. I love traveling.
Yeah.
As stressful as that it can be, traveling is awesome.
Yeah.
And destination weddings, beautiful places. My bucket list place to go is Italy, so just throwing
Sorry,
that out
guys.
there.
You were. We met you a year or two late.
I know. We met you
it's
guys.
not
We were
too late
so
for us
close.
to go.
I mean, we can still take you back.
What year are we coming up to?
Next year's 2
Yeah,
years.
next
so-
year's 2.
Whatever 2 represents.
Yeah, what's the 2-year
a trip to
anniversary?
Italy?
Yeah,
It
Europe.
represents a trip to
That's what
Italy.
they say. Yeah. Year
Italy.
2 is Europe.
Yeah.
Let's put that on the calendar,
That's the
guys.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Year
mean-
1's a Rolex. Year 2's Italy.
Hey,
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Just break
I'm
some
down.
new rules.
I'm down. I'll go.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. Do your guests have a dress code? And I mean like strict dress code. Are we talking like guests are wearing all black, all neutral colors? Or are we just like free for all, it's a party, do what you want?
This is personally.
I have an opinion on this after they answer because you guys go ahead though.
Personally,
Either one.
I answer for both.
Yeah.
Personally, dress code, strict dress code, like dress code. Like I mean,
Are you doing like a certain color, a certain family of colors?
Like black tie
just a
dress
certain
code?
color.
Certain color.
Certain color. So maybe I love an idea of a black tie wedding.
Okay. Everyone's in black.
Everyone's in black.
Love it.
Or I love neutral colors. So maybe we had some tones.
Yeah.
You
send them a sheet.
you send them a sheet. For me personally, it would be one of the two. Like, and I mean, like, if the dress code is black tie, and you show up in a red dress.
We'll fight. You're kicked
we'll
out.
fight. Yeah.
Okay. I have a take on this. I like the free for all thing. And the reason why is because maybe some people are on budgets.
True.
So they can't
Oh,
really
Trevor's
do
so kind and
the
thoughtful.
black tie thing.
Yeah.
But I do black tie weddings are pretty sick though.
Yeah.
they're awesome.
You're so thoughtful.
But yeah, I like the free for all thing. Let people just
So kind.
Very
budget
kind.
for whatever
Very
clothes they
respectful.
want.
Very respectful. Very demure.
So my take on this, from us working as many weddings as we have, if you show up to a wedding, I don't care how nice your jeans are and your cowboy boots are. I don't care.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Do
But
not show up to
they'll
a
do
wedding
it.
in
know.
jeans, a hat. Like, all right, I know there's some really nice hats, like the Michael Harris style hat. That's
Yeah.
a really nice
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah.
But when you show up wearing like your Tractor Supply hat and your nicest pair of jeans and cowboy boots, I don't care if the person at the altar is willing to do that at another wedding. It is the worst look.
Okay,
I hate it.
I'm
It
gonna
drives
take
me
back.
crazy.
I'm gonna walk my comment back just a little bit. I don't mean free for all, like come in like short shorts.
You
or
mean
booty
still
shorts.
formal.
I mean
Right.
like formal clothing,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
something
Right.
that you can afford,
Yeah,
like
well,
not break the
Yeah,
bank.
well, even like for me, when I
What's
said
presentable?
like black tie, like still like you said, making that available to everyone who's coming. You know, if you show up with red, I ain't gonna kick you out. I'm
gonna kick
but,
you
you
out.
know, still like
I will kick them out for you.
if it's a black tie, it doesn't have to be a tuxedo, but just at least
Right.
wear all black.
Come in
Right.
your
You know.
Speedo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll love you.
So for me, it is definitely there's a color, and we had like neutrals for our wedding.
Yeah, I like
Some
that.
people didn't really understand what neutrals meant, so we had to send some like approvals and disapprovals to their outfits. But we
Yeah.
were very small; it was like a whole 16 people had to vibe.
Yeah.
So
My outro on this will be, even if you hate getting dressed up and wearing those things that make you uncomfortable, have enough respect for the person that's getting married to do it for just 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
it's
As soon
such.
as you
It's one day.
As
Yeah.
soon as you get in the car,
Take
put
it
on
off.
your gym
Yeah.
shorts.
put your jeans on.
We were talking about this actually. I dress up for weddings. Like as a vendor, I dress up. Like I'm wearing my full suit, except for summer weddings. But
Can't do that.
As
No
soon as
way.
I'm home, I'm in pajamas,
Getting comfy.
like all week.
Time to get comfy.
Yep.
I like it.
Okay, next one: wedding cake or dessert bar?
Dessert bar.
Dessert bar.
Yeah, wedding cake's boring now. And
Okay,
the people cutting it don't know how to
The
cut.
only way I say wedding cake is if it is specifically birthday cake flavored.
Okay.
Like funfetti.
Like funfetti wedding cake. Ashley had funfetti wedding cake. Best wedding cake I've ever had. Delicious.
If people
Brought me
get
back
too
to childhood.
fancy,
It was
people get too
be- it was-
fancy,
and it's no good.
yeah, agreed.
I'm gonna say wedding cake because if you find a person who's really good at making,
what I
Okay,
was gonna
that's
say.
important.
Yeah.
Important part.
I've had some of the most delicious moist cakes, and
Fair.
a lot of the
Okay.
dessert
Fair.
bar stuff goes dry.
Fair.
And I was going to say,
Okay.
yeah. So to me, it'll really come down to the vendor and what type of desserts you're doing. I love desserts. I'm
So
just
does Andrew.
so I can see it, but for me, I would want a good cake. It just
It has to be good, though.
It got to be the right cake, and the cake that I tasted in the tasting, when we were
It better
going,
taste like that when
it
you
better
show
be the
up.
same one.
But how
You know?
often do you get there and the caterer is like frustrated they have to cut the cake and they just start hacking it to pieces? So someone gets that piece, it's just like it's this big around, but it's
I-
this tall and it has no
For
frost.
most of the weddings that I've experienced, like they've done well with
Yeah.
it. You
With the
know,
cake cutting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then
yeah. Usually
You're
when
lucky.
when you have, like I said, it goes back to a planner, coordinator. You know, those
True,
people
true.
because they're prepared to do
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
You know,
planners
so-
can
Because if
cut
you
a
spend
cake.
all that money on the cake and you just chop and it's messed up, yeah,
It happens all
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
time.
I know,
So
yeah.
plan
I've-
it out.
I've seen it.
with
I've
your
seen it.
caterers. Plan it out.
and your planners because they
And
Have
your
a
know.
planners.
designated cake cutter.
Yes.
absolutely. Somebody can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wedding cake as long as you take the right steps
Yeah.
for your wedding
Fair.
cake.
Fair.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. Okay. Outdoor ceremony or indoor venue? I'm all outdoor.
I'm outdoor.
Outdoor.
Yeah.
And outdoor
Not in the summer.
even when it's raining.
I'm anytime.
Okay.
Outdoor even when it's raining.
Oh, that's special.
Oh,
And I will
I can see that.
I did one of those for the first time. It was heavily raining
Mm-hmm.
on top of a mountain, and it's one of my favorite ceremonies.
That's cool.
It's
We need to
beautiful.
see the
Jadalyn
footage.
and Spencer, I'm going to shout you out
We need
if
to
you're
see the
watching
footage.
this. Your wedding ceremony is beautiful.
Mm.
I loved your ceremony, and it was torrential downpour. They had the clear umbrellas, and it looked so good.
That's
it looked
dreamy.
so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you spend a lot of money on hair and makeup, but like, even when it's raining, we can make it look good.
And you have to have the right bride for that, though.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we did a wedding that was the same way, torrential downpour,
so
and
fun.
she went out in her dress
Yeah.
and bare
Yeah.
feet and started dancing
So
in the
fun.
rain.
They did their
So
first
fun.
Mm-hmm.
dance in the rain,
Yeah,
and they
that's
had
fun.
like
It
an
was
option
beautiful.
of the indoor,
Yeah.
and it was so beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah, love it. Love
Yeah.
outdoor
Yeah.
outdoor
So I'm
ceremony.
sure there's some brides that would be like,
yeah,
Heartbroken.
Listen,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Just move it indoors.
Yeah.
We'll make it look good.
Yeah, we make
Trust
it look
us.
good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me personally, outdoor
Yeah.
in the right season.
Right.
You know, but I love an outdoor wedding.
I can't say
Yeah.
anything about season. We got married in 100 million degrees
Yeah.
in the middle of July.
Florida
so.
weddings.
Oh,
Good.
my lord.
So any season for me, I'm good. Let me know where to be. I'll sweat it out. Okay, I don't even know why I'm asking this one, but DIY or professional planner?
Come on now.
DIY.
Come on.
Professional.
Come on.
a pro.
Yeah.
I'll take the pro.
I'll
Yeah.
take a planner.
Worth the investment.
Unless you're doing something like a small elopement.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
for
Yeah.
us. I say professional planner, but we had 16 people, and I did the planning, but I also have experience in the
I was
industry.
gonna say, unless you
and
have
I
like
was able
experience
to
and you're
plan.
good.
Yeah,
at that
I can
kind
see
of thing.
like if we were doing a destination wedding, I could see myself planning.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
You know, but
Something small.
But
for
if
me,
you think Auntie
But if-
Susan's gonna handle
Oh.
everything,
100-person plus wedding,
No,
get a
no,
planner.
no.
Yeah.
Like if you're not doing an
Please.
elopement or like a very small under 50,
Yeah, anything under 50 or anything
over
50.
50,
over 50
Agreed.
because
get a
yourself a
planner.
50 is pushing it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
'cause it's-
that's
a lot of
still a
planning
lot of
still
people.
goes into that.
because
yeah.
if not, it's falling on Emmanuel. It's falling on the photographer.
Good luck,
Yeah.
buddy.
9 times out of
Look at
10.
his face. I hope you get that in the camera.
like it's just you just don't understand. It's just it changes your day.
I
like
believe it.
And I mean, it did not just for us, but it puts a lot of pressure on the bride and groom.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mostly the bride,
Right.
because you know unless
We don't want to pressure our brides.
You know,
Because then she's
yeah,
coordinating.
yeah, because then she's coordinating while she's trying to get her hair and makeup done. People are asking her
Asking so
questions.
many questions.
You know, so it takes away those moments. So that's why it's like just if it's in budget, find whatever works within budget. But like you said, if we're planning to do a bigger wedding, that's just something that's almost essential to that day.
Yeah.
It's just
100%.
yeah.
All right. Evening wedding or daytime ceremony?
Evening,
I go with evening. Yeah.
like not night evening,
But, like-
after 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like-
evening.
You're gonna
Golden
lose,
hour.
You're gonna
Golden
lose a
hour
lot
I
of
said after
people.
5. Isn't that evening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 5 would be evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose a lot of
I-
people at the daytime ceremony
Yeah.
that just can't logistically won't end up making.
But also
it.
the lighting, like
I
when
have a
you're
take on
trying to
this, too.
capture it.
Daylight savings time has a factor in this too. If
Yeah.
you're, depending on the time of year, if you do like a 5 o'clock
Yeah.
ceremony, you're not gonna have much time left for
Right.
photos and
Photos.
stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
If you want sunset sessions like that,
I will
right?
say
So
that's always big.
if it's depending on the daylight savings time, like right now we're in 5 o'clock. If you do it 5 o'clock now, it's still you're gonna have like 3 extra hours afterwards.
Yeah.
Depending on how long your ceremony is,
No.
but. We like the evening ceremonies,
Yeah.
but we want to save some time to do the fun golden hour, session with the couple. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, as a being in the shoes of like a bride, my best suggestion to brides would be ask your photographer and videographer what time your wedding should be.
Yes.
Because it will make
Yes.
a huge difference for your photos. So like again, sorry, keep bringing it up, but when we got married, our photographer, she said, well, what time do you want to do the ceremony? And I was like, well, we've never been to the venue before. We can't really picture what it's going to be like. We've never been to Italy before. So like when we get there the day before, like let's just see what the light looks like and you tell me what's best.
Yeah,
Like
that's so
that
smart.
is
Yeah,
so
so
important to get the lighting right depending on where you want to stand. Like I want this scenery as my main like ceremony photo. Like what time is going to work for me, because you can't have the sun shining right at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have special apps too that can
Yeah.
tell us where the sun's going to be. If we do like a venue tour with you, we try to do those as much as we can. If we can, if it's a destination one, it's a little bit more
harder.
difficult.
Yeah.
But we have special apps on our phones that we can traject where the sun is going to be at certain times. So
Yeah, and I think just too, we've been in the industry long enough. We're experienced enough. 9 times out of 10, we're doing stuff outside. No matter what season, time of the year, I can just about. We've done sessions or weddings in that time, and so we can tell you, if you're doing a 5 o'clock wedding, you have a 30-minute session, 10 to 15 minutes for family photos. By the time we get ready to do your photos at 6 o'clock, I can tell you what the sun is going to look like, and I already know in my head what my photos are going to come out looking like on a perfectly sunny day.
yep, and we have a little bit of blue hour too. When
Yeah.
the sun goes down, you got about 20 minutes
20
worth
minutes,
of
yeah.
sunlight still,
Yeah.
even when the sun is
But
dipped
just
down.
going back to what you said, it's so important just ask us, like, in that part. And if you come to us and you've already planned that, that's fine. But like it goes so far by just simply, hey, we're in the process of picking our time for the ceremony. What do you suggest? Like it makes a world of a difference when it comes to the actual day of the wedding.
Oh yeah. Okay, last one. Traditional vows or write your own?
Write your own. Definitely.
I would say if you're someone that has trouble writing your own, write your own 100%. But if you're someone that has trouble writing your own, look up the traditional vows and just kind of put your own spin on it. Something
that.
me and Angie did, we did our vows to ourselves, which was,
We did private vows.
we did private vows, which was great. If you're doing vows in front of a large group of people, it's probably going to be a little easier to take traditional and kind of put your own spin on it. But I think at least, like, don't go up there and read the same thing that you've heard in movies and stuff like that. Like, give it a personal touch.
Yeah, like if you're a little bit more on the nervous side, like I would still write your own, but don't overthink it. Like
Right.
don't
overcomplicate
you don't want to have
it.
20 minutes worth of vows.
No.
It's okay to have maybe even 30 seconds of vows, but just give a little personalization to it, and we like that. It makes, I will say, it makes your film much more personable with your own vows.
I'd say there's nothing wrong with Googling ideas for vows.
I mean, if you
I
need
have,
some
I said,
inspiration,
I'm
AI
taking
now.
this all in. Yes, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I think for me, it'd be a little bit of both, and that can easily change as the day actually happens for me. But I think just watching them so many times for weddings and, how I feel personally, I think, just mixing them a little bit. I love the idea of doing private vows and maybe just doing traditional vows in front of your guests.
I like that too.
That's what we did.
I've always loved that. I think it's something special when you do those together, because you can just take your time, with each other as you're listening. If somebody cries, it's just so much happening in that moment. And then maybe having more traditional ones or custom, when you're doing your ceremony and stuff like that in front of everyone.
I've done that before. Yeah.
From the photography side, one of the cooler pictures that I have from our wedding is we actually physically wrote down our vows the day of, and the photographer got a picture of me. I'm sitting at a desk with my jacket off, but I have the button-down shirt, and you can tell that I'm very concentrated on what I'm putting onto the paper.
Yep.
Yeah.
We
It's
filmed
just-
a couple of those too.
Yeah, it's a
where
cool
the group-
picture.
The
Yeah.
groom, oh man, I've gotten shots of like the groom tearing up in the middle of writing his, and it's like some of our favorite.
I've got a
stuff.
great story. Real quick story on that. We were in Italy, and the owner of the venue and one of his maintenance workers came to my door. I was up there writing vows the day before. Didn't write vows until the day before. They came to fix the air conditioner, and I was right in the middle of writing my vows. I was bawling my eyes out, and they came just middle of the day, knocked on the door, and I opened the door, just bawling my eyes out. I was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm writing my vows. I'm emotional right now. You can come fix the air conditioner."
It's hot in
He's
here.
like, please
Fix this,
come fix
please.
the AC.
I'm crying because it's so hot in my room. So yeah, there was. I got very emotional writing the vows. So yeah, it's a cool
they
moment.
come in and they're like, "It's okay. We're fixing the AC.
It's
Don't worry.
okay.
We're
They
coming."
said we know it's hot. It's okay. I was like, I can't take it anymore. I think I'm gonna leave.
Oh,
Good times.
That's
yeah,
good.
Good times.
Good times.
Yeah, that wraps up my game, guys. I don't know.
That was
I
fun.
don't know how to
Okay,
wrap
I
up the
like that.
episode.
Yeah.
A
But
little this or
That's-
that. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really fun.
That was fun.
We
Good
got to look at
episode,
some more
guys.
some more segments like that in the future.
yeah, that's what I was
fun.
saying. Like fun little games. We can come up with different games when we bring guests on. And I think so. What are we recording? We said we're on episode.
This is two.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yes.
think 3 potentially has a guest.
Hopefully.
So stay tuned. I'm pretty sure we
Sweet.
have a guest for 3 and 4.
Yep.
Subscribe, like, comment.
Review.
Follow,
Do all the things. Bridal
share.
Banter Pod on everything.
YouTube,
Spotify,
Spotify,
yeah.
Apple Podcasts.
Instagram, TikTok.
All
All
the
the
things.
things.
You guys know the drill.
All the
Come on.
things.
This is
Come on.
2024. If
Yeah.
you're not on all the socials,
All of it.
let's go.
Let's connect to that link tree. You can go to all of them.
You're right.
Oh yeah, the link tree, Bridal Banter Pod.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And a website is coming soon too.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Join
So,
the Pod Squad.
courtesy of Angie,
Angie.
because she does everything. It's
Apparently.
yeah.
There's
It-
nothing she cannot do.
I will say I'm not a graphic designer at all, and video is like that's my lane. My website is very basic.
Shout out
I
Angie.
mean, thanks guys.
Yep.
It'll be up.
Guys.
It'll be live soon.
Yeah.
So
Thanks,
check it out.
Alrighty. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.
There, guys.